What is up, lads? How's it going? And welcome back to the channel. A very dramatic Game Week 5 has just come to conclusion with United beating Leicester, but it was a boring game tonight with no FPL players involved. We've plenty to talk about from Wednesday night's games, and with the quick turnaround to Game Week 6, it's time to start planning ahead. In this video, we'll be looking at how I fared out in Game Week 5, and we'll also be looking at my transfer plans and team selection ahead of Game Week 6. Let's get into the video. Game Week 5 started in the worst possible way, with RODRIGO coming off injured with a suspected dislocated shoulder. It was a tough watch as he came off just after the 30-minute mark, and he probably should have scored just before he got injured. He's now out for the next 3 to 4 weeks, so I'll definitely be looking for a replacement for him ahead of Game Week 6. Moving on to Craven Cottage, and with Reece James out injured, I put Andres Pereira into my starting 11, and thankfully he came out with a return. I was debating whether or not to bring in Cucurella for James, but thankfully I decided to stay put, and Pereira returned to fate by getting an assist and 1 bonus point. Unfortunately, Pascal Gross wasn't able to get involved with Brighton's goal, and it was a wee bit frustrating watching McAllister step up for the penalty again. 9 points from 3 was a decent start to Game Week 5, and I was in for a big night of FPL on Wednesday night. Moving on to the Emirates, my Arsenal attacking duo came up trumps, with Jesus and Martinelli both scoring against Villa. Martinelli has been a joy to own since Game Week 1, and he's only blanked once in the first 5 games. The only downside was Ramsdale losing his clean sheet in the second half, and it was a bit of a freak goal to concede, with Douglas Luiz scoring straight from a corner. He's also got a slight injury ahead of the United game, so I need to decide whether or not to keep him this week. All in all, an 18-point return from my Arsenal trio was a welcome return, but let's see how the rest of my team fared out. When I saw the City lineup at 6:30, I knew I was in for a long night. Haaland continued his ridiculous form in front of goal with a first half hat-trick, which made me feel very uncomfortable seeing him come out for the second half. Thankfully, he was kept quiet in the second half, and João Cancelo popped up with a goal and a clean sheet. 29 points for my City duo was a stuff of dreams, but it meant I needed Salah to score well against Newcastle. After a very frustrating first half as a Salah captainer, I accepted defeat to Haaland, but somehow the FPL gods were on my side when Salah ended up with a 20-point return from the armband. It meant giving Salah the armband over Haaland, he only ended up 7 less points than him. If you gave me that option at half time, I would have bit your hand off. Robbo and Trent unfortunately lost their clean sheet, but all I cared about was that Salah haul. With all of these returns, I ended up with 80 points for Game Week 5, and I'm now sitting at 512k overall. With the quick turnaround to Saturday's deadline, let's have a look at a few things I'd be recommending ahead of the game week. With Champions League midweek for City, it would probably suggest that Haaland rested against Villa, but there's absolutely no guarantee that this could happen, so keep this in mind when you're choosing your captain. If you own Robertson and don't own Reece James, it's an easy swap for the pair. If you're looking for a RODRIGO replacement, Martinelli is a clear standout, but if you already own him, Gross and Zaha are both solid picks. Don't be afraid to put Neco Williams in your starting 11 this week also. There's every chance he can get a haul against Bournemouth at home. With the Game Week 6 tips out of the way, let's move on and have a look at my transfer plans for this week. With RODRIGO out for 3 to 4 weeks, he's first on my chopping block. With Martinelli and Gross already in my team and not enough money for Zaha, I think I'll be looking towards a Leeds player to attack their favourable fixtures. Harrison is probably the safest pick, so he's definitely up for consideration. He's also on set pieces too, which definitely strengthens his appeal. With Ramsdale a slight doubt for the United game on Sunday with a hamstring issue, I'll be waiting for tomorrow's press conferences to see if he'll be fit. If he isn't, Sanchez will be making his way into my team. I'll be hoping Ramsdale is alright though, as I prefer not to be making a transfer on keepers. As mentioned earlier, I'll be waiting until the press conferences tomorrow before I make my moves, so for now, my lineup is as follows. Ramsdale in goals, Trent, Robertson, Cancelo and James in defence, Salah, Gross, Martinelli and Harrison in midfield, and Haaland and Jesus up top. From this, let's move on and have a look at their captaincy pick for Game Week 6. With how good Haaland has been lately, he has to be up there for consideration. He's already scored 9 goals in 5 games, returning 3 double-digit hauls, and it also means he hasn't blanked this season. However, I have a small feeling this weekend will be the game he's rested after starting the Forest game midweek. With a Merseyside derby Saturday morning, Salah will be looking to get on the score sheet after not scoring in his last 2 games. He's got 2 goals and 3 assists this season, returning 2 double-digit hauls, and Everton haven't kept a clean sheet this season, which suggests there'll be goals for Liverpool in this game. As mentioned earlier, I'll be waiting until after the press conferences before I'll be making my transfers. Don't forget to follow me at FPL Éire on Twitter and Instagram, where I'll post my locked in team before the deadline. There you have it. There's my Game Week 6 team. Best of luck for Game Week 6. I'll see you in the next video.